I'm talking, of course, about Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So, without further ado, let me just bring out this cast, because you guys want to see them. First up, please give your biggest round of applause you can possibly imagine for the star of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She plays Sabrina Spellman. Give it up for Melissa Joan Hart. Keep it going for, have you right on the end over here. Keep that going for Salem Saberhagen, Nick Bakay. Hi.
Oh, that's not a cat.
Give it up for Nick. She played one of Sabrina's aunts, the wonderful Hilda Spellman. Give it up for Caroline Ray.
What's Hilda?
What is Hilda without Zelda? Give it up for Beth Broderick.
What? She's that lady from...
All right, he won our hearts. He broke some hearts. It was a very on-off again thing. Please welcome Mr. Harvey Kinkle, Nate Richert.
Oh, what? Yeah.
Harvey.
All right, you know him as the Quizmaster. Please give it up for Alimi, Ballard. All right, it's good old Josh from the coffee shop, Josh Blackheart. Give it up for David Lascher. She played Sabrina's wonderful roommate in college, playing Roxie King. It's Soleil Frye. And finally, the other half of it all, Morgan Cavanaugh. Please welcome Elisa Donovan. All right, guys, give it up for the cast of Sabrina Teenage Witch, please. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. It has been 14 years since this show went off the air. I feel like we just could all use a little finger exercise, maybe. Like stretch those joints. We're all, you know, point. There you go. Oh. Did you ever get fatigued doing the finger? No finger fatigue?
Yeah, that's why we chose the finger. It's easy.
So, obviously, so many people out to see you guys all here today. Let me ask you, Melissa, what is the strangest place Sabrina, you ever saw Sabrina in the wild? You know, where the show ever came up and you saw Sabrina fans in a strange place?
Well, I understand that I speak like 142 languages. The show was very international, which was amazing. You know, that this kind of show would transfer over so many different kind of cultures and to so many different people, and it really became a kind of worldwide thing. And it didn't hit Europe until much later, actually. I was, right as the show was ending, I got married in Italy, and nobody there knew the show, but like 2 years later went back for an anniversary trip, and all of a sudden everybody knew the show, and everyone thought it was so new. So it was interesting.
Yeah. And
you get called witch in a lot of different languages. Strega is the Italian for witch. That's what they call it.
I was even doing a movie in Cairo, Egypt, and they knew the show. And I was shocked. I was like, really? Yeah, it's everywhere.
Totally. I mean, Nick, I imagine as the voice of Salem, you might get recognized just at like a Starbucks or something, you know, like doing the voice. Has anybody ever said, oh, excuse me, can I ask you a question? Are you with Salem?
It only happens when I order a latte. Once in a while, people, it's familiar. They go, there's something about you, but it's normally that I think we went to high school level together, you know. So.
That's all of us now. I think we all get that, right?
Yes, or, you know, the gym or yoga together or something.
Totally. Well, I want to ask about some of the early years at the beginning. Sabrina was, I believe when you were pitching the show, ABC was the first network to say, you can have TGIF, you can have this time slot. What did TGIF mean to you? I mean, did you feel like the show was an underdog at the beginning?
Well, my mom, Paula, was the producer. She found the comic strip, she turned it into a TV movie, and then she sold it to ABC. But she pitched it to, I think, 4 different networks in one day. And by the end of the day, I think she had 3 offers. But ABC was the only one that gave her a time slot, and TGIF was the time slot. And she said, that's where it belongs, we're doing it. So it was really Paula who did that.
And for the cast, what did it feel like at the height of TGI Mania? I mean, what was that? Like, Nate, Harvey and Sabrina were on and off again and on and off again and on and off again. Did fans ever come up to you and say, look, dude, you got to put a ring on it?
Well, on the height of it, it did get pretty crazy. I remember going to a mall one time. It was my girlfriend at the time. We were going to a record store, Sam Goody. Remember those? Yeah. So we make it past the perfume counter at Bloomingdale's, and one little girl perks up, and then she whispers, and she giggles and laughs and runs and screams, and then another one, and then we had a mob of girls running. I didn't go into a mall for at least 2 years after that.
I always used to joke that if every maitre d' at every restaurant were 7 years old, we could get into any restaurant.
Yes.
But then you guys kept watching it, and now you are like 25, so we can get into any restaurant.
Thank you for that.
Well, David, also to the point of this on and off again relationship, what did you feel and hear from people when Josh started getting involved and winning a little bit of Sabrina's heart in some of those seasons?
Well, it was tough because people were used to them together, so not everyone took it so well. But I think it took time to find my place and win people over, and then eventually our two characters became friends. And it was all good, but it was I think rough.
The fight for that love.
I had to fight.
You had to fight for that love.
I had to earn it.
He's a good guy.
So down over on the end of the table, Elisa and Soleil, you guys join. Give it up, please, a little bit for the college years. What was your impression of the show when you were joining it, and how did it sort of feel different from other sets you would later go on to be a part of?
Well, I remember, I think the first or second episode, it was like the 100th episode, and we were like, oh, it just feels like 2, you know, it feels like it was yesterday. So we were coming into this incredibly successful environment, and I had known Melissa because Clueless, the series was on TGIF as well the first year, or maybe 2. I don't remember. We only did 1 or 2. They launched at the same time. Yeah, they launched at the same time, and so that whole culture of that time was really. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere. Like malls were very. I mean, you couldn't go there.
And I was so excited because I got to work with one of my best friends, and I had been able to do Punky Brewster, which was such a fun show, and to come on to another, thank you, and to come on to another timeless show was so great, a show that felt so timeless, where it was so fantastic and already a family, but they made us feel so welcomed.
Yeah, it is very much run like a family, the whole show. We did things together, and
we hung out day, we hung out at night.
We worked out at like 4 in the morning, went to work at 6 a.m. and then like
Game night
at
at
book club,
Game
game night at my mom's house, and then so we'd wrap it like if we were lucky enough to wrap by like 9 p.m. we were out like hitting the bars. So
I don't remember it being invited to any of it.
I feel you, man.
We were all 18. So Nick also was a writer. So while we were acting, he was writing. Then when we were partying, he was writing. And then when we were working out, he was writing. Like so he and now he's on a very popular show, Mom. So he's a writer of Mom.
Recovery multicam.
Nick, I did always want to know, what was your day-to-day like? Like, what was a typical day like on a Salem record day?
You know, I spent most of my time in the room writing these shows, especially, we would do like 24 a year, even more, 26, which is kind of unheard of now. So it's a grind, it's a factory, but the great thing is I got sprung whenever the cat was shooting scenes, and I'd go down and be off camera with a microphone, which was really fun. And I remember in the early going, one day sitting on a stool while a crew member held a large fish tank over my head so that it sounded like my head was in a jar. It was like, those were my days, they were fun.
That's not correct, because he used to, really, we can't take these microphones out. Okay, I'm just gonna hold it like this, it's very natural. Nick would be on the side, so imagine you're like, we're in this show, and they're like, look directly at the puppet, which the first season didn't look like a cat, and looked a bit like an alcoholic rabbit wearing a hairpiece. Looked like a cat. So we'd have to look at the cat, and then Nick would be speaking, and he would be so funny and they're like, look at the cat, and inevitably, everyone was looking at the cat except me. I was like, they're like, look at the cat. So eventually, you were no longer allowed to come down and be the cat. They would have Tom read it. Remember?
That's absolutely true. I remember. She couldn't, she'd always be looking at Nick.
Every time they trained the cat,
The cat was better behaved than Caroline. Yeah.
Now,
The cat was always there on take one, I will say that.
Yeah, I would say it was always easy to work with the cat.
Always
the cat
easy.
never forgot his lines.
Never forgot his lines. Always on his mark. Always on his
you
mark.
find yourself talking to the cat, and there are no cameras around, and you're like, oh my god.
I find myself like petting it, and
where does anybody know where the cat is now? I mean,
Well, the last cat.
I'm wearing it.
Well, the puppet, the animatronic cat is, I think it's in a puppetry museum in Atlanta, right? Yeah, and then I think the live cats. So we had many live cats. The last one alive was named Salem. Actually, they named right. It was Salem. And Beth was on an episode of Melissa and Joey, and we did a Halloween episode. And they brought in. We had to have a cat there, and they brought in the cat trainer was the same cat trainer from Sabrina, Kathy Pittman, and she brought in the last living cat from Sabrina. So I don't think it's with us anymore.
he was pretty old then.
R.I.P.
Did the cat recognize you, or did it kind of smell you?
It did not like it. We couldn't even touch him. We
Was
were
it
like
too friendly?
No, he was pissed. He was like,
That's what
what?
Fame does to you.
He was retired. He was like retired.
No, he is currently appearing at CatCon.
now I want to ask the whole panel. Raise your hand if you remember having like magic done to you, which all of you should raise your hand. I feel like.
Oh, magic done this during the show.
Like during the show. If on the show you remember, I mean, I feel like looking at Nate, an episode comes to mind where you like literally turned into a beast. Do you remember that? Like,
We just retired. That was my favorite one.
Really?
I get to jump around in the dumpster, throwing stuff. They made. I still have the teeth. They made fangs for me, and all the prosthetics.
Totally.
And, yeah.
It's like, what goes through your heads when you do pick up a script? Like Hilda and Zelda, they did so much crazy stuff in The Other Realm. Like we often, I think, forget how much crazy, reuniting lost people from time, this and that. What goes through your head when you get a script and you go, oh, that's happening to me this week. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, we flew vacuum cleaners. Remember we used to have to put these rigs on and fly up in the sky. It just was endless. We had long tongues and long ears and.
Well, my favorite was going to The Other Realm. We'd have to go through you guys remember the closet? Like we'd have to go into the closet. Well, that closet was about as big as this space right here. So the three of us would go running in there, slam the door, and close our eyes because there were lightning strikes. These lights, these like crazy lights.
And they would blind you if you had your eyes
It
open.
would blind you. I mean, if you walked in, you had to try to hide and duck and cover your eyes because you walk out of there just feeling like you just had a seizure, like crazy.
And it was
And they
always
warned
like,
you every time.
it was always such an adventure because you wouldn't know until you got the script, and then it'd be like, wait, there's reindeers at Christmas, and what are we working with? What animals are
The
going to be on the
Quizmaster lived in the other realm. I had a giant mouse was my roommate. That thing was the river of candy corn. Like my guy lived in the other realm, and I had a dispute. It was like a squatter in my apartment. It was a giant mouse. I forget the actor. He was so funny. He was squatting in my place, and he wouldn't leave. I never forget this guy in this giant mouse costume. It was awesome.
So, starting with Elisa, I'd love to go down the line and find out where you think your character might be now. Obviously, the show ended, Sabrina and Harvey riding off into the sunset, but it's been a little bit. Well, what do you think happened to Morgan?
I think Morgan would probably be driving some very wealthy man very crazy, and probably at the same time maybe stalking Josh on the side, and still probably trying to give Sabrina fashion advice.
I think Roxie probably started a punk rock band, maybe moved to New York City, had a couple kids. She was so much fun because she had an edge, but she had a heart of gold, and that was always really fun to play.
I think while Josh is being stalked by Morgan, I'm probably still stalking Sabrina. And I think my character was like a photographer. They gave him like a real passion. I think he's probably successful photographers.
I think the Quizmaster would be like a nanny teacher now. Like he moved on to teenagers. Now he wants to get on the ground level. He's teaching kids, the little magic kids, how to hold their bottle with magic. And I think he would have moved to Miami. Got rid of the mouse. Got a nice little pad next to LeBron down there. He's chilling on the beach. And when he's not, teaching kids, he's hanging out. He's surfing, something like that.
Well, Sabrina and Harvey would probably be having a 16-year-old at this point, so I think because of the rules, I think I'd be banished somewhere like Robbie Benson.
No, it was always the mom. It was the mom who was.
The
well,
mom?
the mom became a ball of wax. But yeah.
Robbie
the kids
Benson
would
got
be
stuck
like
in the book.
the kids would be like a quarter magic or something.
Yeah.
I mean, probably actually we probably figured it out and probably became started our own Hogwarts. Like started our own little witch school.
I love it.
Maybe foster some children that are like part mortal, part witch, and how to navigate that world.
This would make a great movie.
This is a great idea. Everybody, Nick can write it right here. He's writing it right now as we speak.
I say screw the CW. We got the project right here.
And Zelda was driving an Uber in the other realm.
I think it's so sad. I think I probably live with Salem alone somewhere and pine for Drell, some pathetic thing. I did not marry Martin.
You married Martin.
You know what? This is a crazy story. The actor who I married, his name was Douglas Sills. And one day, in my old apartment, he lived across the street. And I looked out the window and I was like, oh my God, that's my husband. And my nephew said, you're married? It was so weird. I looked right at his apartment.
I think we are living together, and Salem is still consigned to being a cat for trying to take over the world. I think he's into Sudoku.
Or Dungeons and
I think he's into role playing, the whole thing. I think he's,
Goes to Comic-Con, cosplays as a
he's
cat.
probably out there right now.
And Sabrina.
I think we would probably. I like the idea of the Hogwarts thing. Like I would like to be.
I love it.
That's
You
nice.
did? I don't know. I don't listen. I think that. I think that would be a good thing for them to do together. Like
Do
Harvey.
I get some magic finally? Is that...
Yeah. Well, I would. Maybe you pretend to do magic, and I'm just kind of helping you out behind you. Like, yeah. You want a beer? Okay,
Pretend like
honey.
I'm doing it. I'll go with that.
Now, how do we all feel about the word reboot? I mean, I have you all up here. It's the question I have to ask you.
Well, so you guys heard. So the CW is doing one. It's not. We're not involved. It's no longer Heartbreak. My mom and I. It's not our project anymore. Archie Comics reverted the rights reverted back to them, and they're doing the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is a darker sort of twist. So I think our show was about magic and family. And I think the new one, it sounds like, I have no idea, but it sounds like the new one's going to be more about witchcraft, dark stuff. I think it sounds more Buffy the Vampire Slayer than it does Sabrina. So I think it'll appeal to a different kind of audience, and it'll be a totally different show.
Yeah, I feel that. I do want to ask, I feel like the show was, I think the show pushed the needle forward in a lot of cool ways. I love seeing Sabrina living with her two aunts and living with her two friends. I feel like it was literally a show about powerful women, literally powerful women.
Yes.
Did you guys ever feel that while you were filming it? Did you ever feel like a little bit ahead of its time or a little bit right of its time? Or?
I felt fashion forward, if you don't mind me interjecting that. Lime green satin. I felt like he pushed the envelope. The rainbow tuxedos. I felt like the Quizmaster was out there. He's out in front. That's my personal opinion.
I really felt like there was a distinctly, which at the time I don't know if I was quite conscious of it, but there was a distinctly different feeling on that set, and so much of it was because it was really about women. And not that there was anything, from Paula running the show, and other showrunners as well, but Paula at the head, and essentially about three of you at first, and then when Beth and Caroline moved on, it's always about this strong, powerful girl who was becoming a grown-up. And I think it's awesome in that way. And
I think that to the timeless thing, I think that shows like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie, this magic element is always alive. I mean, look, you guys are here because you believe in magic, right? And so I think that is something that is just timeless, international, and I think that's I hope that the show goes on to live the way like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie lives in my heart.
We once got this award. Do you remember this? We got this award in England. It was like a family award. They were like, we were being like honored for being a family show, and they were interviewing us. I don't know if you remember this, and she was like, "We love it. We love that she lives with her gay aunts and her gay cat." And we're like, the gay cat.
I knew all the time. You guys didn't see what went on at night in that house. Oh.
Now, does anybody remember any of the 90s guest stars that were on the show? I mean,
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston, yeah.
Backstreet Boys.
Milo Ventimiglia.
Usher. George Wendt.
He was a...
Johnny Mathis.
Britney
What's the band?
Spears.
What's the band?
Insane. Backstreet Boys.
Dick Van
Violent
Dyke,
Femmes.
Paula Abdul, Kathy Ireland.
Penn Teller.
Who was the biggest fan? Was anybody a huge, like, diehard Sabrina fan?
Hanson was on. That was awesome. Hanson.
Who's the Christmas
10,000 Maniacs?
That's
Johnny Mathis. Johnny Mathis was like, I was like, oh, Davy Jones. I was like, yes, with monkeys.
I remember
Played tennis with Andy Broderick.
Kate Jackson.
Randy Travis. Remember Randy Travis?
We had a lot. We were really, really lucky. We had a healthy budget and we had a fun show, and everybody wanted to come be a part of it.
And a lot of people, their kids loved the show, so they wanted to do it so they could do it for their kids. Yeah.
Eric Estrada.
Gary
And it's so
Marshall.
fun to have your kids grow up with it now. You know, like that our little ones get to watch it. My daughter over there was saying what a fan she is.
Jagger.
You know, and like, it's true. It's so great to do shows that then you can watch with your children. You know?
Totally.
Matt, do you know something cool? That when we left the show, I don't know that there were any, but since that time, we are parents to 15 children between our entire panel.
Wow.
Yeah, we have not.
My 4 and Melissa's 3 take up half.
Yeah, I know. I feel like the minority that I only have one. Goodness. Yes.
So, my last question, Melissa, what does it mean to you just to see all of these people out here still supporting Sabrina all these years later?
I think it's awesome. You know, every actor wants to have that one role that's iconic, that speaks to people, that people relate to. And we all say the same thing that, you know, when fans come up to us and they say, we grew up with you, that is the biggest compliment we could ever receive for, you know, working hard all those years. And we worked long hours, we did some strange things, but we had a blast. And a lot of our crew stayed together for 7 years too. So, you know, it wasn't a revolving door on our set. It was very much a family. And we knew we were having a blast. And we appreciated every moment. We appreciated every fan for the fact that we were able to do that. And it just makes us feel good that so many people enjoyed it and enjoyed our work. And what more can you ask for?
Love it. Well, everybody, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you.